Well, welcome to Audio Workstations, guys. I'm glad you guys all made it out this evening. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedules to make this appointment with us tonight. I do want you guys to know I am recording tonight's session, so in the event that you have any classmates that aren't able to make these live sessions, or in the event that you're not able to make them in the future, that's okay, not a big deal. We archive them. We actually record them, and we do post them up onto our YouTube channel. So all of our videos are there for you. So allow me to quickly kind of introduce myself, and then we'll kind of start into some of the things about the course materials, just to get you a little bit familiarized with who I am and where I come from. I just did the math the other day. I've been using Pro Tools for 16 years, but there's a bit of a story even before Pro Tools comes along. So let me back up just a little bit here. Let's see. I was fortunate enough to be raised in a very, very musical family. Yeah, Earl saying 16. Yeah, 16 years. I started using Pro Tools in 1997 on version 3 of Pro Tools. So it's been a long haul with Pro Tools. But there is a little bit of backstory before that as well. So let me give you a little bit of that. I was really fortunate to be raised in a musical family. My father, George Berry, played bass with a lot of different celebrities and some people that weren't celebrities, but I got to hang out and watch my father perform. Some notable names that he played with and recorded with: Nat King Cole, Wayne Newton, Kenny Rogers, just a host of some old school names that you may or may not recognize. But yeah, I got to grow up going to cocktail lounges, watching my dad perform, and it really made a big impact on me. In fact, my father, all my life, basically tried to talk me out of having anything to do with music because he said I would just really never make a living at it. But it was in my blood from an early age. Having that experience of being able to watch my father perform, I took up the clarinet at, let's see, I was in 6th grade when I took up clarinet, and I didn't really like the clarinet, so I only played clarinet for about a year. I didn't feel like it was a very cool instrument. Van Halen and AC/DC were the rage at the day, and the clarinet just didn't really fit into either one of those bands, so I didn't find my way into that genre either. And I disbanded music for a while until I got out of high school, and then I took up DJing. And I got some residencies here in town, and I did really well for myself. I actually ended up DJing for about 12 years exclusively. That was how I made my bread and butter. And when I say DJing, I actually found myself in some pretty large venues. We're talking 1,500 people up to they would hold 3,000 people. So it was really cool. But I realized pretty quickly, I was like, wait a minute, how are these records made? I was mainly at that point playing dance music, a lot of industrial stuff, Front 242, Netzer Ebb, um, Depeche Mode, Skinny Puppy, Nine Inch Nails, that kind of thing. And it dawned on me, wait a minute, I'm playing these guys' music and I'm getting paid to play their music, but how did they make this music? And so I started on my own journey of starting to read about these artists, because remember, the internet hadn't really caught on yet. We're talking early days. This is before 97, so we're talking early 90s. And you really kind of had to either go to school or learn this stuff or buy the equipment. So I took most of my DJ earnings. I'd hold a day job during the day, and I'd take all my DJ earnings, and I'd pour that into gear. And before I knew it, I had amassed a really large collection of analog and digital synths. And I had to have a mixer in order to wire them all in together to hear them talk together. At that point, computers weren't fast enough to run audio, so I was doing MIDI only through an Atari ST. That's kind of dating myself, but if you go back and look through the annals of computers, and an Atari ST was a pretty minimal computer at the time. But the Atari ST was actually one of the only computers that actually ever had a MIDI jack actually built into the computer. So I was able to actually trigger off MIDI to go fire off to these instruments, and then to hear them all together, I had to bring them all together into a mixer to be able to hear them. And in order to have outboard effects units or any kind of effects, you had to have outboard effects units. There was no such thing as a plug-in in these days. So I had to have racks of digital delays and reverbs and compressors and gates and things like that. So before I knew it, I kind of amassed a pretty good sized little studio. And a buddy of mine was actually managing a facility here in town called WEG Entertainment, Wright Entertainment Group. Wright Entertainment Group is responsible for bringing you pop acts such as NSYNC, Britney Spears. Johnny Wright helped co-manage them. Actually, Johnny Wright managed those groups. He still manages, I believe, to this day, Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. He was also responsible for the Backstreet Boys as well. So I kind of found myself in amongst this crowd of people that I was more of the underground kind of sound type, and they were more of the pop culture. But their studio didn't have any sense in it per se at all. In fact, I think they had a Korg Triton, and that was about it. And so some production ended up getting done out of my house. And one of the first singles that I worked on was a pop boy girl kind of duo thing. It was actually two girls and two guys in a band called Boys and Girls United. And I remixed a single for them called Messed Around. And that single ended up getting onto the album as well. Usually a remix on a single doesn't make the album, but they actually put it on the album as well. And we got charted at, I believe it was number 42 in the Billboard Dance Chart. Now, it wasn't the Billboard Top 40, I wish, but there's a Billboard Dance Chart as well. So that kind of gives you a little bit of my background. I've done a lot of other projects. What you guys just heard as the lead-in to this evening's session was a mix that I did for a DJ by the name of DJ Icy. And this song was released a year ago. DJ Icy is kind of big in the breakbeat scene if you're into dance music. So just to give you a quick background in a nutshell, that's kind of where I come from. I've done pop, hip-hop, reggae, rock. I've done a good gamut of projects. I kind of stick into the dance vein more than anything just because it's what I've been around. It's what I know really well. But again, I've owned a lot of different synthesizers. I've got a good basis for synthesis. But now the cool thing is we get to do that all inside of the computer. In fact, I've sold off all of my synths. At one point, I had done a count, and throughout my history, I've owned over 300 different synths. I own none now. I sold them all. They were just taking up way too much space, and now with the computer processors, I mean, everything can be done in the box. There's no reason to have these outboard units. Now, would I still like to have my Mini Moog? Of course. There's some things I wish I hadn't sold, but that's all right. There's pretty good emulations of the Mini Moog, and I can still kind of pull off the same sound that I'm looking for without having to power that thing up. Besides, my Mini Moog sometimes would get a little dodgy on me. So anyhow, that just gives you a little bit of background about myself. So if you have any questions that are dance related or any kind of recording relation, I'll definitely be able to help you out. So some of you might not actually have me for your instructor. Again, my name is John Berry. I'm actually the course director for the course. Some of you may actually have Veit Wren and Brad Barbie. Brad Barbie is my associate, and Veit Wren is actually on loan from us from another department, but Veit is very talented as well. I want you to know that we're all certified, so we all know Pro Tools inside and out. Brad Barbie's done a good amount of work, but Veit Wren has done an amazing body of work. Let's take a look at Veit real quick. It's always kind of impressive to take a look at his IMDb. Let's see. Now, I don't have these kind of credits, and I wish I did. Let's see. Did I miss him? I should have looked this up in advance. I'll tell you what, I'll let you guys go ahead and find all of Veit Wren's credits. But Veit Wren, still to this day, just like myself and Brad, are still producing. But Veit's kind of our shining star on campus here as far as having the most credits. How many Grammys he has, I have no idea. But he's got a whole host. In fact, we actually used to run in kind of the same circles in that pop circle, and we never actually ended up running into one another until he came to work with us at Full Sail. So I'll let you guys do your homework and research on Veit, but we're really glad that we could borrow him from another department, and we're really glad that he's on board with us. So there are 3 of these meetings a week. 3 of these meetings a week. We'll have one Monday night, we'll do one Wednesday night, and we'll do one Thursday night. They pretty much all cover the same materials, but that way if you're not able to make one of our live sessions, you've got several opportunities to do so. There is our Thursday night session is slightly different. Our Thursday night session, Brad is actually going to go over your assignment that will be due on Sunday. And just to give you a quick idea of what that is, we're actually going to ask you guys to do 10 different tasks within a Pro Tools session. We're going to ask you to do a screen recording of you doing those tasks and do those 10 tasks in under 8 minutes. And you'll be graded based off of whether you complete those tasks or not. So that's basically what that assignment is, and I'll be reviewing that with you on Thursday evenings. Now, if you missed that review, that's okay. Again, it's archived. And then again, if you don't archive it, we actually include a video in the assignment itself that shows you how to do each and every one of these steps. So, Trevor here is asking me about Beatport. I was playing this for you guys as the opening song. Just wanted to kind of show off a couple of my credits. I'll stop showing off here. But Beatport is actually a source for DJs. If you want to download MP3s or WAV files, you can see that you can go and find the latest and greatest from your favorite dance artist. So when I go out to DJ any of my gigs, I'll hop on Beatport. I'll cruise through. I'll generally spend about 3 or 4 hours, believe it or not, trying to find music for a set that might be 1 or 2 hours long. And then I'll practice it usually in advance of actually going out to perform it. But it's just a really good way of finding new music by brand new artists. So if you're looking for new Deadmau5 tracks, this is where you find it. And generally, I will purchase WAV files, which you can't get WAV files off of iTunes. iTunes is going to give you an MP3 style format, but the air just doesn't move the same in a large nightclub off of an MP3. You guys are probably starting to get your ears trained where you start to hear MP3s, or maybe you don't. Maybe you've always used MP3s, so you don't know the difference. You stand up a WAV file against an MP3, and you'll be able to hear it. So I was just trying to show you this site real quick here. So is there anyone in the class that does not currently have their book? You should have received from McGraw-Hill a link to your course materials, and the book is called Pro Tools Ignite. Oh, excellent. Trevor's got his open right now. Excellent. Sounds like you're being proactive. I like that. That's great stuff. So no one said no so far, but in the event that you have not got those materials, please contact FSO support. I would love to help you out with that, but unfortunately, I can't because I don't have anything to do with the distribution of the book. Wait a second here. Earl says he can't even access your email. Earl, that means that you missed an earlier email the beginning of last month. There was a switchover in the email system. And all you'll need to do is just contact FSO support. And there was some kind of name change or something you had to do. I apologize that I don't know the direct specifics on what it is. But if you're having troubles with your email, you'll need to contact FSO support, and they'll be able to get you through that. I believe the email system was overhauled, or there was an update. I don't know the exact specifics on it. I just know that there were some things that you guys would have to do. So if that's the case, make sure you do that the first thing when we get done this evening. We will be going to right up until 9 o'clock tonight. There's a lot of information for us to cover. So, hey, Earl, that's awesome, man. Thank you for serving our country. I appreciate that. That is really, really cool stuff, and I'm glad we have you back. And hopefully you're staying home and with your family. All right, so we got the book stuff out of the way. Let's see. I tell you what, let's take a look at this. There's going to be some materials that I want to talk about tonight. So let's move over here to this website called Indaba, because we're going to get you started with Indaba pretty quick here. Now, Indaba is a free website. And what is Indaba? Well, what Indaba really is Indaba is going to be where you're going to get your files for your final project. So tonight, I'm actually going to take you through that process of figuring out where you're going to get these materials and how you're going to use them. So the website address, www.indabamusic.com, and you can see I've got it there on the screen. Here I can actually copy and paste that to you guys as well. We'll copy and paste. There you go. So now you all have that actual website. Go ahead and log into that website. And the reason I want you to log into it is because we're going to be getting some files here from it in a second. And you don't actually have to get the files right now, but I do want you to at least save that email address so that you know how to get back to it. And we've actually outlined this in the final project details, but we want you to actually start working on it right away, because that way you've got a month long to work on it. And that way, as we step you along through the process of learning Pro Tools, you guys can start applying those to your final project. For instance, like we're going to start creating brand new sessions and importing files. So why not import the files from our final project? So that's what we're going to do today. So go to Indaba Music. We're going to go ahead and sign up. I'm going to sign in using my Facebook account. Waiting for this to load. Sorry for the little lag we got going on. Oh, awesome. Ryan's already signed up. Killer. Awesome. Cool stuff. Yeah, this will be perfect. We'll get you guys started on the very first day with the materials you'll be using all month long. Huh, interesting. Got a little hang going on here. Let's see if we can... Oh, there we go. Wow. Not sure why I got that hang up there. I'm going to go ahead and close out of Beatport. Beatport shouldn't be pulling from my resources at all, but this is weird. Okay, cool. Maybe it's because we all just logged on, or possibly, I don't know. Let's try this again. Let's do a little refresh. There we go. Looks like it's moving along now. Wow, okay. Well, we might have to check back here with an old Indaba here in a second. Let's try refreshing again. And let's see if we can get Indaba to work this way. Now that I got Facebook open. All right, well, that kind of stinks. That's all right. I think we can actually come back to this. I feel bad that we're having these kind of issues. It's going to be important for me to show you how to get these files, because I want to start working with these tonight. I want to show you guys what it is we need to do to get started. I tell you what, let me come back to that and let me show you some other resources and assets you may not have realized that you have that I want you to use for your final project as well. Go ahead and navigate to avid.com and sign in and log into your account. Now, I just want you guys to be aware while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and log into my account here. This class is going to be using, there's going to be people that are on versions 8, versions 9, and versions 10 of Pro Tools. And wouldn't you know it, but version 11 is now landing on our doorsteps. So this puts us in kind of a funny position. You would think that it puts us in a funny position, but believe it or not, we're actually all going to be just fine, because I actually haven't seen Pro Tools 11 yet because I don't own it yet. But versions 8, 9, and 10 are really not that different. Is there anyone in the class that is currently with us tonight that is on version 8 of Pro Tools? Okay, cool. Anybody that's on version 9 of Pro Tools? And just feel free to type your answers into, you look on the go-to training control panel, you'll see down at the bottom there's a chat section where you can join in on our chat. Looks like most people are on version 10. Cool, cool, cool. So looks good so far. Now, the current version of version 10 is 10.3.5. But I have heard students saying they're having issues with 10.3.5, and I have heard from people that going back to 10.3.4 has been more stable, and in fact, that's actually what I've done. Trevor's saying he's received an email to upgrade to 11. Awesome. Go ahead and knock yourself out and upgrade. I haven't done that yet because I'd actually have to pay to upgrade to 11. And for the most of us, it's going to be that way. It's going to be a paid upgrade. There was an email that was sent out. There was an email that was sent out to the students last month sometime requesting you to go ahead and make sure all your software was registered. because the 4-year deal that was originally, I think, the deal with Avid was now vanishing and going away. And so you were required to go ahead and get your stuff authorized. Now, that's one of the very first assignments that we're asking you guys to do, and it is on our software installations and updates page. So take a look at that. It said since you registered, have 3. Okay, give me 1 second. There's a couple of people here. Yeah, if you've got 10.3.4, I would recommend staying with version 10.3.4 and not going to 10.3.5. Ryan, if you can't find your license numbers, you're actually going to have to contact FSO support. I won't have that. There's no way for me to have that information. Did it vanish or is it vanishing? Earl Drummond's asking, did it vanish or is it vanishing? I was actually never given an actually confirmed date of when this would close. But then somebody else said, I think it was somebody that had updated to 11, said that they have, says, I think Trevor here said that since you had registered, you have 4 years of free upgrades. So that's the deal. Make sure you guys go find whatever codes it is to get this stuff registered, because the old deal of the 4 years is vanishing. But it looks like if you go ahead and you get that in now and you get the upgrade to 11 for free, then you will still have that 4 years. So Vincent says you have to be careful about the upgrade because, oops, hang on a second. You have to be careful about the upgrade because I just read today on Avid site that a lot of hardware is not going to be supported by Pro Tools 11. Yes, you're right. However, I'm not current. I think some of the hardware that you're talking about actually has to do with some HD peripherals, and what that means, it's actually a larger version of the Pro Tools system. So, in an effort to try to clear through some of this confusion, in this month, you can be working on versions 8, 9, or 10. I currently don't have 11. And so if you try to send me a Pro Tools session in 11, I won't be able to open it because it's a brand new piece of software. Pro Tools 11 has been written from the ground up. It is not the same software. Will it work functionally the same? I believe it will. But however, if I have version 10 and you send me a version 11, I'm not going to be able to open it because I don't own version 11. I'll have to pay to upgrade shortly here within the month. Trevor says, I have 10.3.5. Is this bad for this course? It's not bad, Trevor. However, personally, I experienced some issues with it, so I did an uninstall, and I did a clean uninstall, and I went back to 10.3.4, which is what I'm going to recommend. 10.3.5 is the current version. I wouldn't say it's bad for the course, and I don't know if maybe I just have a dated machine or if I need more memory, but I did experience some hiccups here and there, and I was working on a song at the time, so I went back to 10.3.4. I'm not experiencing any issues. So just to be clear, you can use versions 8, 9, or 10 in this course. Please don't jump to 11. And if you do jump to 11, that's fine. You just won't be able to send me those 11 sessions. You'll have to do your work in version 10. Now, the good thing about 11, check this out. You can actually have version 10 and version 11 on the same machine without any conflicts. The only reason for that being is they are now a completely new piece of software. So going back to view my products here, I've gone ahead and log into my account. I'm going to go over here to view my product details. And I want you to go and do the same thing because there are some assets here that I want you to use for your final project. What are these assets I'm talking about? Well, these assets are 8.5 gigs of loop libraries that you can use. Now, these loop libraries can be found here in your Avid account. Simply go to wherever your current version of Pro Tools is, look under the download sections. And you can see here we have this Big Fish dance loops. If you add all these up together, these would be over 8.5 gigs. So here's a bunch of different really cool loops. And the reason I like to use these loops, I've gone ahead and downloaded these. I'm going to go ahead and hide some items here real quick. I'll show you what I've done with these. I've gone ahead and downloaded them. And I put them inside of a folder. Inside my root folder, I went to Music. I created a Sounds and Samples folder. And in here, I have an Avid Materials folder. And in these Avid Materials, you can see here, I've got all these different categories. So under Dance DJ, if I look under Percussion, here you can see I've got conga and bongos. And the cool thing about these files is it will give us, let's look at another folder. Let me find something that will give us Here we go, base. Notice here that it gives us some information. It gives us the actual tempo of the file, which wouldn't really matter. We can change the tempo of the file. And it also gives us the key signature, which is nice. So in the key of G, or A minor, G minor, A flat, G, E minor, B minor. You get the idea. This is going to be important because when we go to use these files with our project, this already gave us two really good key pieces of information. It gave us the tempo as well as the key signature. Question here. Trevor's asking about where does he find the free loops. So if we go back to our Avid account here, you can see here I just simply clicked under Downloads. This is where it says Pro Tools. Whatever version of Pro Tools you're currently using here, you can see, you go to the Download section. Now you can also find these same loops if you have your original installation discs, and I would recommend doing that because that's easiest. I noticed when I tried to download multiples at one time, I encountered some errors. I don't know if it was their server or what, but you can find the same loops on your installation discs that came with your Launchbox package, so you could use that as well. Wow, Indaba is not having fun today. Anybody else having trouble with the Indaba site? All right, let's try just going back to the root directory here. Very, very sluggish website this evening. They must be going through some kind of maintenance right now. Huh. I tell you what, let me do this. Let me log out. It's working on your end. All right. Maybe it's something to do. Let's try this. Let's try resetting Safari real quick. All right, while I'm logging in here, and to keep our class from coming to a complete halt, I want to explain to you the Indaba website. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, why not do that? It's the same thing. Yeah, I can do that. Let me see if I can get it real quick through Safari, and if not, I'm not going to futz around with this, and we'll try Firefox. So, okay, I'm done with Safari. Let's move on to Firefox. I like that. I'm not sure. Eric, nice job. Whoever suggested Firefox, that's a good workaround. Nice. All right. Awesome. Cool. Whew. So let me talk to you a little bit about Indaba. I'm glad we were able to finally get in. Indaba is a really cool website that offers you remix opportunities, but they only offer you 3 free ones. And they call these keys. So I kind of want to show you how you would go and get your files and what you would do with them. So here we go. We look under the Opportunities tab up at the top here. And if you look under Opportunities, here you can see we have this song by Bridget Mindler, and the song is Hurricane. We click on this. Now, I've already downloaded these files, so I won't be able to get them again. And you can see here it's asking for people to vote on their favorite remix. If you wanted to actually audition the song, you could play the song just by auditioning it here. And you'll see a little player will show up at the bottom. And it'll play part of the song. I'll let it play for a second, and then we'll go find something else.
Think the clouds are clogging up my brain like the weather drain same as the tears on my face. And I'm stuck up in the storm. I guess I'll be alright.
All right, pretty standard stuff. You've got a player there, a little player that lets you audition the sounds. Now, this isn't really the song that I wanted to try. In fact, I've already got these files. This is, if you download this file, it's actually only the vocal, whereas the other artists like the Knox here will give you all of their stems. So if you want to listen to the Knox, this is kind of a cool little dance track. We'll take a listen to this real quick.
Nights will bring us together. We're staying here, we're sitting for dark. Light comes upon the river, then we fade.
All right, you get the idea. So pretty cool little dance track. Now this I've already downloaded all the stems for, so let's see if we can find something else that I haven't already downloaded the stems for. We'll cruise through. I've got this track. Oh, this one's really cool. This track, How to Destroy Angels. This is actually a little project of Trent Reznor's. This is his wife. This is a really cool song. I really like these files. We might end up using these files if there's nothing else brand new posted here. Let's see if I've already got these files or not. I can't remember if I've downloaded these. Now, the way I'll know if I've downloaded them or not, because you'll see here, yeah, again, I've already downloaded these files, so we'll have to go back. I have a paid account. The paid account is $50 a month. I'm sorry, $50 a year. And you can download all their files for a year. And I believe I've got this one as well. Okay, so let me do this. Let's actually pretend as though I've already downloaded the files, because right now there's no new artists up for me to show you how to download the files, but basically you'll enter into the contest. So the contest will allow you to win prizes from Indaba. It'll give you an opportunity to be posted on the artist's album, should they decide to release it on the album. Many of the artists do. Many of the artists use it as a B-side on the single, or they simply just put it on their album as an extended set remix version of their song. So, and you'll also end up winning, sometimes it's money as well as prizes, sometimes it's just money, but either way, it's really cool exposure, and it gives you some of their raw stems. Now, when I download the raw stems, here's what I also do. So, let's say we go back to this previous artist. Let's say we're going to use How to Destroy Angels, just because I happen to really like that song, and it's really cool. So, let's take a listen to the song real quick. I think you'll dig this as well. Pretty cool little track.
Always been here. It almost seems like yesterday.
cool. So that's the song. Trevor's asking, do you really win the $1,000? Well, whatever it is. So let's see here. I could go and take a look at what the actual prizes are, but some of the more important information you actually want to take a look at is under the details here. You go to details. Oh, you know what it is? It looks like this has already closed. Okay, here, check it out here. Facts, frequently asked questions, FAQ. Under FAQ, it's going to give you information about the song. For instance, how long is the name of the song? It is in the key of D major and at 81 beats per minute. There is 8 days left for this contest, so the contest on this is already closed. I don't believe you guys will be able to even get the files from this song. Now, I've already downloaded the files for every one of these songs, and I have to go back here. I apologize, guys. Let's take a look. If we go back to the Opportunities tab, all right, I want to go ahead and just show you what I've done with these files. So I'm going to quit Firefox right now, and we'll close this current session. And what I've done is when I downloaded those files, back here in my music folder, remember I created that sounds and samples folder, and then I put my Avid materials inside there. But I also created an artist remix files, and anytime I download something from Indaba, I put them inside of a folder, and I rename that folder. For instance, here is How to Destroy Angels. You can see if we take a look at the name of the folder, I added to the name of the folder. Whenever you download all of the stems, it kind of comes up as, it looks really wonky. The capitalization of the titles isn't there. The album is Welcome to Oblivion, but the actual name of the song, let me change this right now, is How Long. So what I did is I went ahead and added that to this folder. I put the information in there. It's 81 beats per minute, BPM, and it's in the key of D major. Now, that's going to be important because I'm going to want to import these files here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's open up Pro Tools, and let's just talk about the raw. Yeah, organization is the key. I'm with you on that one, Trevor. And I want to show you why I did this the way I did. Well, at some point, these files will go away off of Indaba, and I'll be needing to figure out what the key of the song is and what the beats per minute are. And since I went ahead and just added it to the folder here, and you can see which one of these songs I've done that to, that way I always have that information. And if I want to go back and work on it 3 years from now, I don't have to dig around on the internet to try to figure out this information. It's already there on the file itself. So let's take a break from these Indaba files for just a minute, and let's actually talk about Pro Tools and the file structure of Pro Tools and how it works. And when I do this, I'm actually just going to put my Pro Tools session right on the desktop here, and I don't usually do that. What I usually do is take a look here. Yep, you guessed it. I'm in my music folder. I've got a Pro Tools folder. So notice here I've got a sounds and samples where I store all my loops. Here is where I'm going to store my sessions when I create any Pro Tools sessions. And then I have a separate folder for my artist and remix files. And we'll go ahead and color that one too. That way I can see it real quickly and easy when I'm trying to find things. So what I want to do is I want to create a brand new session, and usually I would not save it to my desktop. In fact, if you have a really cluttered desktop, get out of that habit now. The moment someone sees you start saving stuff back to a desktop, that's a quick sign that you're kind of new to the DAW game and that you don't have good organizational skills. So get in the habit of storing these things to the correct location. So this is where you'll see me store my work that we're going to do later on this evening. But for right now, to prove a couple points, just to get started, I'm going to save something on my desktop. But I want to give you those organizational tips before we get started. You can see I've already got Pro Tools open. So to create a brand new session, you could go up to the File menu, and you could choose New, or notice that you have the quick keys listed right next to that, Command-N. You know what else I'm going to do real quick? Let's do this. Let me turn on my keycaster so you guys can see any of the quick keys that I'll be doing as we go along this evening as well. Let me make sure my keycaster is up and running. Cool. Now you guys can see my quick keys whenever I use quick keys. I'm also going to take a break and talk about a full keyboard. I know you guys don't have a full keyboard, but you're going to see me doing key commands. And some of these, it's going to feel like I'm going to go kind of quick and kind of fast. I'm not meaning to go quick and fast, but I'm in the habit of using a bunch of quick keys, and I want you guys to actually buy a full Mac keyboard. So you're thinking to yourself about now, why don't I already have one of these? So a full keyboard looks like this. Now this down here is what you guys pretty much already have. Notice it doesn't really give you anything new. This just gives you Wi-Fi. That's the only thing. So there's no cable tied to this, but you're not getting the benefits of having a full keyboard. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a full keyboard. If you take a look under images, let me show you here. So this guy is what we're talking about. And what you guys are missing is you're missing this portion off to the side here. You're missing the numeric keypad. You guys don't have this. And a lot of your applications that you guys are going to use are going to utilize that numeric keypad. Logic uses them. Cubase, Nuendo, Sibelius, Pro Tools, they're all going to utilize a full keyboard. So right about now you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I don't have money to buy this. You don't have to have one for this course. In fact, you can get through my course just fine without having a full numeric keypad. However, they are really nice because once you start getting fluid with a DAW, this just makes it that much more quicker and easier for you because you'll utilize this numeric keypad. So you're probably going to see me do some of these key commands. You're going to ask, hey, I can't do that. And you're going to be right. It's because I'm using a full numeric keypad. Now, you can find one of these on eBay. Shoot, you can find these for, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks. Maybe not the newest model. Like this is that nice brush aluminum, so it'll match your keyboard. But you could probably go back and find some of the older models. Like, is this the older model? No, that's the new one. Let me see if we can find some of the older models. The older models just don't have that brushed aluminum look to them. The letters actually stand up a little higher. And you can see these letters, they barely stand up, just like your Mac laptop. And here we go. The older keyboards look like this. The keys are a little deeper. Here's one here. It's kind of hard to tell based off of this image. If you view the original image, this might help out a little bit. Okay, it's not going to show us. Well, I'm not really having a lot of luck tonight. So you can find one of these on eBay pretty cheap. Go to eBay, type in Mac keyboard. Oops, that's not it. And here's that older model that I was speaking of. There you go, $14.99. So if you go buy the brand new one, the brushed aluminum that we were just looking at, notice how the keys are a little deeper. The brushed aluminum model that I was showing you earlier, you can buy them brand new for 50 bucks, but don't bother. I mean, if it works, it works. It's a keyboard. So this one's 15 bucks. You can probably even get it for free shipping. Let me see here. I didn't see free shipping on there. But anyways, you're probably going to see me use some quick keys, and I want you to understand that I'm using a full numeric keyboard. To be in this class, you don't have to have one. I don't require one. You don't have to know your quick keys. It's great if you do. But you're going to see me start to move around real quickly here in a moment. And the reason why is because I'm using that full numeric keyboard. What I'm going to do for right now is I have some options here when we go to our new session dialog. So backing up just a little bit, File, New Session. We can create a session from a session template. You guys are used to seeing this because Logic has these, and I know you guys all like Logic. We're going to end up creating a blank session, and when you create a blank session, it allows you to pick your session parameters. You can choose your file type, whether it's going to be broadcast wave or AIF. You can also choose your sample rate. I'm going to stick with 48K, and then you can choose your I/O setup, input and output setup. I'm going to choose stereo mixed. And then our bit depth, I'll use 32-bit float. Now, when I hit OK, it's going to say, all right, well, where do you want to save this? For right now, usually, again, I'm going to go over back to my music, and I'm going to scroll down here to Pro Tools, and this is usually where I'd save it. For today only, I'm going to save it to my desktop. So I created a brand new session, and we can see I'm in the new session that I just named. And of course, I don't have any tracks on my session yet, but let's hide this and let's go take a look at the hierarchy of that session. So here I have a session folder. If I open up my session folder, you can see I've got multiple items. That's the session file. So the session file resides inside the session folder with all of the assets. You can see I have audio files, clips, video files. Now, if I don't have any audio files, if I save my session and close it right now, that folder will disappear. But I just want to give you the whole overall folder hierarchy of Pro Tools. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and let's go back to Pro Tools now. And let's create some tracks. Shift-Command-N will allow you to create tracks. I'll create 10 tracks. And some of you are saying, whoa, wait a minute, you just did that kind of fast, so let's delete it. Delete my tracks. You can also do it from the track menu here, New Track. Shift-Command-N is what I chose, right? So Shift-Command-N. And it gives me the new track dialog. Now, if you have a full numeric keyboard, you can hold down Command and use your up and down arrows, and it'll change the track types. In fact, I think you can do that with your Mac as well. Let me see that. Yeah, you can do that with your Mac as well. Hold down Command and use your up and down arrow keys. That'll change the different track types. And if you use your left and right arrows, it'll change from stereo to mono. Now, this next step that I'm going to show you, you'll have to actually have the full numeric keypad. Command plus will add track types, or Command minus will take away track types. So effectively, without touching the mouse, I could create all the tracks from my session. Shift-Command-N. Let's create 4 stereo tracks. Let's create 4 mono tracks. Let's create 1 stereo master fader. And let's create 4 stereo aux tracks. Bam, there's all my tracks for my session. Now, the 2 main windows that you're going to see inside of Pro Tools are the Edit window and the Mix window. Notice I'm using Command and equals to get back and forth to my Edit window and my Mix window. These are the 2 main windows that you're going to see inside of Pro Tools. Now, to resize your tracks, you can go in between the tracks and just click and drag, and that'll resize that one individual track, or if you hold Option, it'll resize all of the tracks at the same time. You can also hold down Control and Option and use your arrow keys. So different ways of resizing tracks. I can also show and hide my tracks with the Show Hides list. So the tracks are still there, and they can actually still play audio. All right. So just showing you some different maneuvers here. Now, if your track show hide's not in view, it might be due to this little arrow icon at the bottom here. This little arrow icon is going to allow you to show and hide your tracks menu right here. You have the same thing for your clips. Now, if you're using version 8 or 9 of Pro Tools, the clips menu is actually called regions, but it does the same exact thing. All right, so we have the individual tracks here, which we're going to start calling playlists, and I'll tell you why we're going to call them playlists at another point in time. But for right now, just understand, if I say something is a playlist, I'm really saying it's a track. And I'll explain to you why as we go throughout the month. But just showing you different ways of manipulating the different tracks, how to create tracks. If you want to delete a track, right-click on the track's name and say delete. Now this is going to delete all the tracks right now because they're all currently selected. So notice if I try to select on one, I can't select on one. So to deselect the track, hold down Command, click on that track. You've deselected it. Now if I go to select that track, it's going to let go of the other tracks and select that track. That way I can go and delete the one individual track if that's what I wanted to do, is delete that track. All right, cool. So it's about time we start learning how to import audio and then start dealing with that audio. So we've already talked about the difference between a session folder and a session file. But let's actually talk a little bit more about that before we start importing audio. So here is our session folder. Again, if we open it up, we have the session file. So what is this session file? Well, if you double click it, it'll launch the session. So if I go and I save that old session, we'll save it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it, close out of that session. Notice that all the folders I didn't use, they disappeared. But if I double click this file, it's going to reopen that session, and the things that I saved, I don't remember if I saved or not, honestly. The things that I saved in that session would have been saved, like all the tracks that I'd created would have been in that session. Let's see if I actually saved. I don't think I did. Oh, I did. Cool. Command S. I saved at some point. Awesome. So then that session file is basically, it understands all the assets that were a part of your session. All right, cool. So I'm actually going to close out of that session for right now because I want to start using those files that we imported from Indaba. Well, I didn't actually show you how to import them because I already had all the files from Indaba, but let's go ahead and let's delete this session for right now. I'm going to get rid of it. So select it. We'll send it to the trash, and then I'll empty my trash. All right, cool. So let's do this. Let's go back to my folder here. We'll go to music. We'll go to artist remix files. I know this is the song that I want, so let's go and just select the song. I'm going to go ahead and copy this information. That way it'll make it easier for me to rename my brand new Pro Tools session. So Command N for a new session. We'll create a blank session, 32-bit, 44.1. Last use, we'll get the habit of using stereo mixed. We'll hit OK. Now, where am I going to save this? Well, let's save it back into my music folder. Remember, I want to put this inside my Pro Tools folder. And then let's paste the name in here. And I don't really need some of that extraneous information. And if we really want to be correct, I think the artist name really should be first. So it's probably easiest just for me to do like this. All right, we'll save it here in my sessions. So I've got a blank session. There's nothing in here, but let's go import the files that we downloaded from Indaba. Now, again, you didn't get to see me do that process because I've already downloaded all the files that were available. But let's show you some multiple ways of importing into Pro Tools. Well, one of the easiest ways is to navigate to your File menu and choose File, Import. And here we're going to import audio, so I'll select Import Audio. And we'll navigate back to my Artist and Remix files. I'll go find that folder, How to Destroy Angels. Now notice if I select one file, it gives me some information about the file. It shows me the file type, the length of the file, the size of the file, the bit depth, and the sample rate. I'm going to go ahead and choose all the files. And when you choose all of the files, it's actually not going to give you the information about the files any longer. But then we have some options here. We have add and we have copy. Well, I don't want to add it, and here's why. If I choose add, it'll actually reference the original files in their original location. I actually want brand new copies of these files, so we'll choose copy or copy all. You can see it's copied all the files here. So now we'll choose done. It's asking me where do I want to save them back to, and it already defaults back to, if you take a look here, to the session that I just created. So it already picks the audio files folder for your session. Just choose open. Cool, and you can see it's now in the process of converting all the files. Now it's giving me an option here. If I wanted, I can import all these files just to the clips list. But we're going to end up using them anyway, so might as well create the track for us. This will save us multiple steps here. It will save the file, and it will name the track based off of the file name. Here you can see we have the files importing, and the actual overview of the waveform is now getting rendered to the file. And if we play this back, we'll be able to hear the file. And I'm going to go ahead and play it back and solo it so you can hear that we have the individual parts.
Always been here. It almost seems like yesterday. Hard to picture. It's the little things that slip away. Built with blisters, but they find a way to take a little bit. They don't find us. If you believe in it, if you believe in it. Can we keep holding? Can we keep holding on?
Okay, so I have the files in the session. That's pretty obvious, and this is cool because it has the individual stems. And I don't know if you listen to the vocals, but the vocals on this are incredible. I mean, everything is just recorded really, really pristinely. And of course, we can go in. Now, you guys are going to see me start to use tools and things that you haven't seen yet. And I have to admonish you, there is a live stream archive that is basically a lecture that is a required viewing. And typically, I would want you guys to watch that in advance of coming to my sessions, because all the information on how the tools are going to be used are in those sessions. Whenever you guys show up for these live stream archives, for the live stream sessions like we are right now, you're going to watch me basically do the final project with you throughout the entire month. So we're going to learn principles that you would read about. In fact, when you read the first chapter this week, we talk about importing files and session file management, what a session file is as opposed to the session folder, how to import your files, and multiple ways of importing files into Pro Tools. And so we're basically doing those same steps in front of you. I'm just not going to be as descriptive because we've already created an outline for you guys to get that information. It's already in your book. We've created individual small videos that will go with the chapters themselves, as well as a 2-hour-long lecture. So the 2-hour-long lecture, we basically sit there and talk about Pro Tools without really getting in and using Pro Tools that much. But that is some of the basic information that you're going to need, because you're going to start to see me use tools and not really know how these tools work. I'll quickly kind of run you through the tools, but then we have modes to talk about too. And being that we don't have that much time tonight, it's going to be kind of a quick little gloss over of the tools themselves. We'll start off with the zoom tool. The zoom tool looks like a magnifying glass. I'll enlarge with these tracks a little bit so you can see the tracks. In fact, let's hide some tracks except for maybe the drum track. And notice here with the zoom tool, if I click and drag, it creates a lasso. And that lasso, what you see is what you get. Whatever's inside the lasso is what you're going to zoom into. So if I lasso this portion here, you can see we're zooming into that waveform. Notice that my zoom tool also, if you take a look at it, it's in the center of your screen there, it's got a plus symbol. If I hold down the option key, it gives it a minus symbol, so I can click back out to zoom in. Now, I don't use the zoom tool. I use a totally different form of zoom, and I'll explain that here in a moment, but let's just walk through the tools first. So you got the zoom tool. You click and drag whatever's in the box, that's what you're going to zoom into. If I just zoom to that portion there, or that portion there, you can zoom all the way on in on WAV files. And if you hold down Option, you can zoom your way back out. Cool. Next tool is the Trim tool. Trim tool, notice if I move my mouse here, it automatically moves. Notice the position of it is changing. It's changing once it gets to the halfway point of any audio region, it's automatically going to change positions. It changes positions, that way if I click and I drag, I'm trimming down an audio file just by clicking and dragging. Now, when I'm clicking and dragging this file, I want you to understand we're not really deleting any information. We're asking Pro Tools to now look at a set of coordinates, the beginning and end portion of where I trimmed it. Let me pull this back out and go into a little bit more detail about what it is I'm talking about. Notice this file selected here within my playlist or the track. You can also see it's selected here within the clips bin, or if you're on version 8 or 9, it'll be called regions bin. Basically, it's showing me that that's the file I have selected. Now notice all of these files, if I unclick and I'm no longer selected on this file, all of these files are in bold. That's because they are whole files. The moment I take my trim tool and trim down a file, notice I have, if I click off of the file here for a second, notice I have the bold file here that tells me drums. That was the original whole file. And now I have an audio region, a file that is no longer bold anymore. That means it's a set of coordinates that are now saying, hey, look at the original, but now the updated end of the file is this point. If I trim this back out to its original location, that original audio region went away, and we're now dealing with the whole file again. So trim tool, it automatically changes positions. You can click and drag to trim. And based off of your mode will be how this actually moves. More about modes here in a minute. The selector tool, if I click and drag with the selector, it allows me to make a selection. But notice it's also losing my selection when I click and drag. If I want to update a selection, you want to hold down the Shift key. I can update the beginning, or hold down the Shift key and update the end of the file. Maybe I'm making a selection because I want to trim that file and just keep that selection. That's Command T. We'll undo that with Command Z. Just showing you have a couple different options with this tool. The selector tool allows you to place a point of selection for playback. So if I solo this track and hit play, or you can click and drag. So a single click places what we call a timeline insertion point for you to either create an edit or to play back from. If I have, let me cut this up into multiple regions here for a second. So a single click places a position for either edit or playback. A double click will select an individual file. A triple click will select all files on that track or playlist. All right, then we have the time grabber. The time grabber allows you to select individual regions. But notice with the time grabber, I can only select an individual region. I cannot select a partial region. If I hold Shift and select in between two regions, it selects those regions in between them as well. So what happens if there's dead space? I select a couple regions, delete some regions. If I hold Shift and select in between two regions, it also selects the regions the time in between the regions. So if I was going to move this around, you'll see it holds the same time slot as well. So that's why the name is Time Grabber. It will select an individual file. There's no way to select a partial file. Single click selects a file. Double click will prompt you to rename that file. The next tool, I'm going to undo my edits here. The next tool we're going to talk about is the Scrubber tool. Scrubber tool is kind of cool because with the Scrubber tool, you can go in on a WAV file and actually scrub the file. So it allows you to scrub. If you hold down Option, it becomes a shuttle. So your scrub tool is really cool because it's kind of like a DJ scrubbing vinyl to find the downbeat of the record. So you can either scratch that record or push the record in on the downbeat. So you can just simply click and drag. All right, so that is your scrub tool. Pretty cool stuff. The next tool is the pencil tool. The pencil tool, if we zoom into a waveform, I'm going to have to get right in on a waveform. So we'll click, why not click on the downbeat here and we'll zoom in. Click on this downbeat and we'll zoom right in. By the way, notice I'm using a different form of zoom, and this is what I was going to explain to you guys earlier. I don't use this little zoom tool. I use Command and bracket keys. Command and brackets will zoom you in. If you add Command and Option brackets, you can zoom the waveform. It looks like the waveform is actually getting louder, and in this case, it's not. It's just zooming the waveform height. That way, if I really need to get in here and be really meticulous, because I actually am going to get really meticulous here in a second. Take a look at this. We zoom way into the waveform here. Once it turns into a line, you can actually take the pencil tool and you can redraw the waveform. So think about if you have a vinyl collection that has a nasty pop or a click in it. You can actually redraw out that pop or click. Now notice here I can no longer redraw the waveform. That's because it's turned into a solid black line. You have to zoom in till you get to sample level. What do I mean by that? I mean it turns into one single line. And once it's one single line, you can redraw that waveform. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so let me undo. In fact, let's do File and Revert to Saved. To undo any of the crazy stuff that I've just done to the files here. Oh, great, I didn't save anything. That's all right. Shift-Command-I to import. Here's all the files. Quick review. We'll copy all the files. We'll tell it it's done. It's going to the audio files folder. So this will only take a second. We'll get all our files back, and I'll make sure that I do a save, which will just basically update my session file that's located inside the session folder with all of my new changes. Yeah, we'll send them all to new tracks. Cool. When the files are done rendering. Now, there's a problem currently with this session and using it in its current form. The problem has to do with the default tempo of my DAW versus what the session's tempo is. Well, what was the session's tempo? Does anybody remember? Yeah, 81 beats per minute. So what happens is if I use a click track and I'm trying to actually use the grid in Pro Tools, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, the actual grid in Pro Tools is really important, it's not going to work. And the way I want to show that off to you is I want to solo the drums. I'm going to create a click track. So track, create click track. There, we'll solo out. The click track's already soloed as well. You're going to hear that the click track is not going to follow along with the drums because the tempo doesn't match. All right, it's all over the place. It's really hairy, does not sound right. In other words, this session currently, the grid in Pro Tools is not lining up. Now, there's nothing sexy about a grid. What do I mean by that? There, we're looking at a grid. There's nothing sexy about that grid. But once you have the grid in a DAW set up correctly, it will allow you to take apart this music and put it back together in a way that it was not originally created. And I want to show you that right now. Let's delete all those blank tracks that I just created. I'll show you all these tracks. So when I show and hide tracks, notice I can click on the tracks individually to show and hide them. Or if I hold down Option, it will hide them all or show them all. And that way, if I want to just see one track, I can quickly hide them all and then click on the individual track that I actually want to see, for instance, like the drums. And then I'm just resizing tracks. We learned that one earlier. I'm just using Control-Option, my up and down arrow keys to resize the tracks. Zoom in and take a look at the grid. If we take a look, the grid doesn't follow the drums. In fact, we can change our grid here. It's in 1 bar increments. Let's change it to quarter notes. None of the downfalls, none of the downbeats here, or if they do, it's only by coincidence. That one happens to get kind of close. But the further you zoom in on it, you see that none of the downbeats of any of these drums are following the grid. So let's change. Now, you don't want to quantize because I actually want to keep the original tempo. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to change the tempo here to match what the audio's tempo is. So I'm holding down Control, and I'm going to click on this little icon in my tempo field. Now, if you don't see this in your ruler view here, this is your ruler view up top. That means that you might not have it in view. So just go in here and check off tempo. And you see you've got that tempo icon. We're going to Control-click, and we'll put in 81 beats per minute. Now take a look at these drums. I'm going to show you some really cool things with the drums. Right here, let's change myself to bars and beats. And I have a 2-bar measurement. So with this 2-bar measurement with loop playback, this should loop till the cows come home.
Always been here.
Now you heard the click track now follows along as well. Let's disengage the click track for right now. I hit the numeric key 7 on my numeric keypad, so you'll need that. Numeric key 1 will show and hide that transport. So we can actually do some really interesting stuff with this. If I go down to a 1 bar increment here and zoom in, let's actually take this. Let's do some interesting stuff with this. Let's get rid of all the other drums except for this 1 bar. Command T. Command T got rid of the ends of what I did not have selected and kept what I have selected. So if I hit playback, but I can actually go in and do some clever arrangement to this. Let's duplicate this a couple times. Command D, 1, 2, 3. So now I've got 4 bars of this, but how about let's go in and let's start altering this. Option F will center your view. We'll change my grid resolution. Let's do 16th note. And look at this. There's a reverse note. You could even hear those reverse notes. Let's try this. Let's actually duplicate sections. And with that duplication, I could then consolidate it, create a little fade in on that portion. Oops, sorry about that. So if we go back and actually listen to that now, now let's go. And that was just, so I left the first bar alone because I wanted you guys to hear some of the stuff I'm going to do to this just by starting to mangle it. And in fact, let's do several bars of this. So let's see, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. And I'm just going to start having fun with these. I'm just showing you the little clever things you can do. How about maybe reversing this first whole half? And notice when I go to select, it selects the exact increments of the drums. So if I wanted to do small duplications, it's really quick and easy to do these little tweaky edits that you're seeing me do. So what I'm going to do, though, is just take this whole first half, select it, and reverse it. We'll go underneath Audio Suite, going down to Other. I'm going to choose Reverse. So I'm going to reverse that section there. And let's maybe take this hit, separate it, and just put it in a couple spots. We'll put it there. We'll put it there. We'll put it there. And then maybe even take these little tiny hits and intersperse these. I'll separate it, Command E. And I tell you what, for this next section, let's actually put multiples of these in the next section. What I'm going to do over here is we'll create the next section. We'll do some hi-hats. Let's listen to what this sounds like so far that I've just started messing with, just so you can hear the progress. And notice I haven't used my ears. I've just been using the grid. Cool. So that's what I've done so far. Let's do some other cool things to it as well. And remember, none of this could have been possible without locking up the grid to the audio. We already knew the tempo of the audio, and we changed our grid in Pro Tools to match that tempo. Maybe this time I'll do a duplication. Instead of creating a fade in, I'll consolidate it. We'll create a fade out. This will give it kind of a delay almost as it goes out. And maybe even take sections and move them around. Let's take that. We'll separate it. I'll move it to be right there, right before that part happens. Or maybe put that beat in over there. So we got a double beat happen. Go back and take a listen to what I just did. Let's listen to this real quick. So you can see I'm just getting real creative, and again, I'm not even using my ears, I'm using my eyes at this point. I'm just locking up the grid. Here's some other really cool and interesting stuff we could do. We could actually start to pitch these guys down. I'm going to just start doing some clever arrangement here. Let's how about put that guy every other spot. We'll put him there, put him there. He's happening there already, so we're going to have him happen there and happen there. And in amongst this, let's also maybe do a quick little duplication section. Somebody asked me to do a 30-second note, so I'll do one. We'll do a quick little 30-second, and how about for this section right here, duplicate several times, and maybe even put that in a couple other sporadic spots. How about right before that note there, right before that note there, right before that note there, right before that note there. Go back and listen to what we did. Now, the big kick was at the beginning, so let's have some fun with the big kick. The big kick was this guy. That's a big thumpy kick. So how about we duplicate it twice? We'll put it in a couple other spots here. We'll put it there. We'll get ourselves a little breakbeat action going. We'll have it going there, and one there, and then one right before there. So you can see I've left the original alone and the two in ones here alone. Let's listen to the original and we'll go back and listen to all these little weird edits. And the way I did all these edits again was just by making sure we were in grid mode. Cool. One other cool thing I kind of want to show you guys, we also could do some interesting things like this. Take a look. These last two parts, and then we'll jump into some other stuff before we wrap for the evening, because we only have about a half hour left. Let me change this back down to 16th notes, only because it'll select individual parts. And I can go up and I can start changing and altering the sound here. Let's add some pitch shift to this and start pitching these down. So we'll pull up pitch shift, and for every single note, I'm going to start pitching it down by two semitones. So we'll do 2 semitones on this one. I just ask it to render that to the file. This is file-based processing. This is applying the effect to the actual portion of the audio. Do that one down 2, then 4, then 6. You always have to hit process to paste it to there. 8. Select this one, we'll go to 10, render. This one will go to 12. I'm going to take, so that's already an octave down. I'll take this one big hit here. Why not? We'll just chop it up and keep going. So 14. This is one long kick too, so 16. 18. So we pitched these all down, and I'll leave the rest of it as is. We'll go ahead and process that, render that out. If we listen to this now play back, you'll hear that it pitched them down sequentially. No, you don't have to have, Michael said you have to have the waves bundle. This is standard with Pro Tools. We go back, I'll show you. I went to Audio Suite, went to Pitch Shift, and I pulled out Pitch Shift. You can see this is DigiRack. This is standard with Pro Tools. If I'm ever going to use any plugins that don't come standard with Pro Tools, I'm going to warn you in advance. I try not to do that. That's not fair. I don't want to show you guys ticks and trips, things that you can't use. So we pitched that last one down. Let's pitch this next one up. So I'll go back here, Audio Suite, Pitch Shift, pull up the plugin. I'm going to do it in larger chunks this time, just to kind of speed up the process for you guys. So let's take it to eighth notes. Just grab those 2 eighth notes. Notice it grabs those 2 drum hits. Let's start going up with it. So 2, process, selector tool, 4, process, render. Get this out of the way for a second here. Make my selection. 6, process, 8, we'll do 10, process. I'm going to stop at this one again as well. And then we'll go down to, we'll go up to 12. All right, listen to this one back, and you're going to hear it's going to get pitched up. Cool. Another cool thing that this has that Waves does not have, I'm going to go ahead and consolidate this into one. Actually, you know what? Let's do it to this very first file. I'll put myself already in grid mode, go to 1 bar increments. I'm going to option drag this, which basically copies that file. And check this out. This is pretty cool. I'm going to first reverse it. We'll go to Audio Suite, we'll go to Other, I go down to Reverse. And again, this is all standard with Pro Tools. And then I'm going to show you this really cool plugin that I like. If you go to, I believe it's going to be, yeah, under Pitch Shift again, you go to Verify. This will make it sound like a record stop. Now I reversed it, so it's already going to sound backwards. But now it's actually going to sound as though it's a record stopping. So if we go back and we play all the edits here from the original to what I've just done, everything I just did was done based off the fact that the grid in Pro Tools locked up. Let's add in the vocals.
Always been here. It almost seems like yesterday. Hard to picture. It's the little things that slip away.
Yeah, it lines up because I made sure the grid locked up. Remember earlier I made this silly little comment. I said there's nothing sexy about a set of lines, the grid. I hid everything inside of Pro Tools, and I created 10 tracks just to show you the grid. And I said, hey, man, there's nothing sexy when you're looking at a grid. But if you know what to do with that grid and you know how to get your audio to lock up to that grid, you can do some sexy with Pro Tools. One of the coolest things about Pro Tools is the audio editing capabilities. So you just saw me do those audio editing techniques with the drums. Who's to say we can't go apply those to the vocals? Okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's actually take a look at the lead vocals, and let's do some of the same audio editing that I just did. Let's do it with the vocals this time. So let's pull up the lead vocals. Actually, let's hide everything. So we're just using these lead vocals. You know what I'm going to do too? I'm actually going to use this drum loop. It's 9 bars long. I'm going to get rid of that last bar that we did. That way it's just a nice standard 8 bars. Shift Option 3. I'm going to actually, what I'm doing when I do Shift Option 3, notice this is going to consolidate it. And the only thing that's really doing is helping me to paste that into one big file so I can move it in one big chunk. But that way I can paste it throughout the rest of the song, and I just recreated the drums for this song. And of course, I can trim it at the end there. But now let's go apply those same principles to the lead vocals. And this is where we're going to bring the sexy back. This is where Pro Tools really starts to take off. So let's listen to this first word. Let's come into this. And in fact, I think I might need to copy some of the drums back over here. Yeah, let's do this. Let's take this section here. edit it and just bring it back. I option dragged it just to copy it. But that way we can actually hear drums with the vocals. So let's listen to what her first words are, and I'm going to show you a really cool trick that you've heard on albums before, and you didn't know how it worked. So let's take a listen to it.
Always been here.
Always been here. Well, the first word she said was always. So let's do this. Let's actually hide the drums for now. Let's resize this track, and let's just focus on the words that we're dealing with. So I'm going to use Option F. That'll take my selection and it'll center it. Because the only thing I really need to worry about is the word always. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a reverse reverb effect. That way it'll actually come into the original of what she says. So I want to show you how they make that happen. First of all, we've got our vocals here. Let's put ourselves back in eighth notes. And always is probably going to be the very first couple words she says.
Always.
So always is really just this section here.
Always.
There we go.
Always. Always.
So if that's it right there, then here's what I'm going to do. Let's create a new track down below it. Let's make sure it's a stereo track. Let's call it Vox Effects. So we always have names for the tracks. Vox Effects. And let's actually trim out that portion, and let's bring it down to the track below because I'm going to do some really cool stuff with this. Let's take this, and I'm going to trim it out. And trim it, just Command E, Option drag it to copy it below. Let's actually reverse this word. And let's apply reverb to it and then re-reverse it back. So here's what we're going to do. Audio Suite, Other, Reverse. So now if we listen to it, of course it's reversed. All right, not very impressive in this state, but what we're going to do to this is we're actually going to apply some reverb to this. And I'm going to apply a lot of reverb to it. So let's go underneath our audio suite again. Let's go down here to reverb. Let's go to deverb, and let's pick their hall. That sounds good, but let's turn the decay way up. And since it has such a decay, I'm going to have to process way ahead of the file. Actually, let me take a look at something real quick. We've only got so much space in front of this, so we're going to have to select the same amount of space behind it. Okay, I've got 2 bars, 3 beats, and 480 ticks to make this happen. So let's put my endpoint here. 2 bars, 3 beats. And what was the ticks? Somebody remember? Was it 870, I believe? Cool, and I have that exact length applied to the end of the file. Actually, let's do it here. 2 bars, 2 beats, and let's say 480 ticks. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and you'll see why. And then we're going to apply that reverb again. So let's pull that time-based reverb over. We're going to render it. Now let's re-reverse it back to its original state, and it's going to give it this ghostly airiness to the way that the vocals come around. So we go back to Options. I'm sorry, Audio Suite, Other, Reverse. Reverse it back again, back to its original state. Now we got to line it up though. So let's put it over here. Now I'm going to have to sit here and listen to this for a second. Let me see where she actually says always.
Always.
Sounds like it's going to line up just as it is. So let's listen to it along with the original. And it needs to come up a little bit as far as volume-wise. I could do that with this gain plugin. If you go to Audio Suite, you go to Other, you go to Gain. It needs to be turned up just a little bit. So let's add a little gain to it. 14 dB might be overdoing it a little bit. Let's give it 10 dB, render. Yeah, that's a lot. But now listen to this. This will get interesting. I think you'll like this. All right, let's get just the drums in here. do this. Where are my drums at? Drums. Let's just solo out just the parts we're going to use so you can stay centered on what we just did.
It almost seems like yesterday. Hard to picture.
So that's a really cool effect, and you'll hear this done a lot in pop production. You'll also hear it in rock songs, especially coming back from a bridge. It really sucks it in there. It really just like gets you kind of in that mode. Like it's really ghostly. It comes up on you, and it lands on the same exact word. Here, we'll listen to it again. It's kind of a cool effect. I want you to get an idea of what that sounded like. Now, we could even take this a little further. Take a look at this. And then I'm going to probably stop class and we'll open it up for questions. But let's do one other thing. Let's hide these two tracks and just view the affected track that we're dealing with. And I want to show you how to create kind of a gated effect as well. So if we zoom into this guy here and take a look at this, we could do something like put it into 30-second notes and then just delete every other section here. This is kind of going to give it this gated effect that you've probably heard in dance music before. Sometimes they'll use a gate to open and close this effect with something like a hi-hat or a sound that you don't even end up hearing. It'll just be used as a trigger gate. But in this case, I'm just going to hardcore cut into the file itself. It's going to give you the same exact effect because it's turning on and off the sound. We're actually open and closing it just by getting rid of portions. So notice I put myself in 30-second notes, and when I go to play this back, it's going to sound stuttered all the way through until we get up to the original part. Just keep deleting away, deleting away. I'm just giving you guys a lot of creative thought in what you can do with Pro Tools and why you would use Pro Tools. Again, if you're sold on another DAW, that's fine. Just understand that in this industry, when you go to work in a studio, you're probably not going to see Logic. You're going to be dealing with Pro Tools, and it's just a fact. It's just the way it is. Some studios are starting to pick up with Logic, but 90% of this industry is Logic, and this is the reason why. So let me sell this out and let you hear this little ghostly effect that is now gated. So you might have heard some clicks and pops in there. That's all right. We'll go ahead and I'll just triple click. Remember, triple clicking with the selector selects all files. Option F centers in. Command F will create fades. So you won't hear those pops anymore. So let's go back and actually listen in. So we'll pull up the original vocals, the lead vocals. We'll also pull up the drums again. And we'll play this back so you can hear what just went down, what we just did to that portion of the song. I need to solo the original vocals and the drums. Alright, so you guys get the idea. I mean, when you lock in and you start utilizing your grid inside of Pro Tools, it opens up the world of possibilities of rearranging music in a way that stays musical, but that the original artist never even intended to utilize it in that way. Alright, guys, so we're going to go ahead and wrap, but I want to open it up for some questions from you guys if you guys have some questions. Awesome, Vincent. That's great. Vincent says he just feels like he fell in love with Pro Tools. Nice, guys. I'm glad. I'm glad you guys see, like, now understand, I didn't just learn all these tips and tricks overnight, but the first time I ever saw the grid get locked up in Pro Tools, and I saw a buddy of mine, he's a producer by the name of Narco Bear. I watched him actually dissect a drum beat. I was like, oh my gosh. All of a sudden, it made me hear one of my favorite artists and made me realize how he was pulling it off. It was an artist by the name of BT. Hey, John, be sure and check the archive. I'm sure you'll understand. There's no way for me to recap 2 hours worth of information, but we will have an archive for you, John, so not a big deal. Just make sure you catch that archive. Shortcut keys. How do you get a list of these key commands? Well, I tell you what. I'll be honest with you. There are 36 pages of quick keys. And I wouldn't recommend trying to study your quick keys. You're going to start picking these up when you get tired of moving around with menus. In this class, you're more than welcome to dig around in a menu to find things. Like when I'm copying, pasting, I'm using items from this menu, but I'm just using them with the key commands. So again, if you were to stare at 36 pages of key commands, that it would just be overwhelming. So it's more of kind of like one of those things where, I don't know if your mom and dad did this for you guys, but when I was a kid, they would tie my shoelaces in double knots. That's because somehow my shoelaces were always coming untied, and they didn't bother to really teach me how to tie my shoes until I was ready. And while I don't mind giving you a list of 36 pages of quick keys, I really think you'll benefit more from really just sitting back and when you see a quick key you think you might like, writing it down or asking me, or I mean, like, I can give you the pages. In fact, let's go ahead and we'll do that. It looks like Vincent's already got it. Vincent, if you already have that, you're more than welcome to post a link. I was just going to basically surf the net and find it. If we go over here, I'm going to go to Google. We'll go ahead and Google some Pro Tools quick keys. And that way I can just send you guys the link. Now, there aren't many really brand new quick keys, so I'll just say Pro Tools 10 Q. And here's your PDF. There you go. So there's all the quick keys. And again, it's a lot of pages here. So, I mean, just pages and pages and pages. Let's see if they added. Okay, 31 pages of quick keys. I was off by 5. But I promise you, I think you'll probably, at least that's not the way I learned them. But hey, if you learn that way, that's fine too. I just basically learned them kind of like picking them up, basically by, when you start to get carpal tunnel from moving your hand around so much with your mouse, you'll realize you need to work in a more efficient way. Okay, Trevor's asking, how would you downgrade to 10.3.4? It's really easy. Let me show you here. And I'll kind of walk you through the process too. We'll hide our Pro Tools session for right now. You go to your applications folder, and in version 10, it's now located inside of an Avid folder. Then you see you have your Pro Tools folder, and it's going to be inside Pro Tools Utilities. First, you would want to uninstall Pro Tools, and when you go to do this process, you're given some options here. You don't want to do a safe uninstall. You want to do a clean uninstall, and then once you've done a clean uninstall, you can go ahead and install the update or downgrade to 10.3.4. So I had some issues with mine, but I think I have an older machine. All the students that I know that are running 10.3.5, I haven't heard of any issues, but hey, I just play on the safe side just because I have projects that have to. Is 10.3 bad? Oh no, okay. Earl's saying, so is 10.3.5 bad? Honestly, I don't know, guys. I think I have an older machine than what you have. So the students haven't been complaining, but I just know that I have projects that I have to get done. And I don't know if you've ever dealt with an unstable system, but an unstable system becomes frustration. frustration turns into I give up, and sometimes your fist going through your machine. So instead, I would just rather downgrade to something that I know is stable, and 10.3.4 has been very stable for me. Cool, yeah, John. If you got some issues, make sure and get off of that and get and downgrade. Yeah, so once you've done that clean uninstall, I'm going to go back because I really don't want to do that because mine's fine right now. Yeah, then you're safe to install. You're safe to install that. In fact, if you want to give me a second, I think I actually have a link for it that'll save you some time here. So let's see. Oh, it looks like I didn't take the link. So what I'll do is I'll go back to that link. We'll just go ahead and use that. There you go. Now you guys have that update. Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Not a big deal. So, guys, we got about 4 more minutes left of class. I just want to make sure you guys, if there's something that I glossed over, if I went too fast, I know I really have a habit of doing that. But it's just, and if I do that, just let me know. Say, hey, slow down. You're going over my head or whatever it is, and we can take the time to review it. Yeah, cool. Not a problem, guys. Very, very cool. Well, guys, I tell you what, if that's it, if there are no other questions, then I apologize for a little snafu we had with Indaba. We were able to find it all well and good through by using Firefox, so that was good. If you guys have any issues finding materials on Indaba, let me know. Just hit me up and I can walk you through that process. Just to give you guys a heads up, I am on iChat nearly every single day. Tomorrow, I'll probably be on a little bit later from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, but you'll still be able to catch me. And beyond that, from Wednesday through Friday, I'm on 9 to 5. So if you guys have any issues, don't hesitate to hit me up. That's what I'm here for. I'm your teacher. I want to be able to show you guys what it is. When will archive be up? The archive probably will not be up until after about 2 p.m. tomorrow. And the only reason why is there's a conversion process between between the GoTo training service. It has to convert it, and then I've got to get it uploaded to our YouTube channel. So it'll be posted. If you look in the announcements section, it'll be there for you. And John, I know you wanted to catch that. So in the event that you guys want to catch anything that I went over tonight and I went over too fast, there will be an archive. And just look in the announcements section and you'll see that I'll have that for you guys there tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, listen, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come hang out tonight. Again, there are 3 of these sessions that happen a week. You don't have to attend any of them. Do we recommend you do? Absolutely, of course. What is my iChat? I'm sorry, I thought you were asking someone else's iChat. My iChat is audiovisionary@me.com. I'll go ahead and I'll type that out for you. So that is my iChat address. Make sure you guys hit me up with your iChat. And the first thing I need you guys to do is when you hit me up with your iChat, make sure you give me your first and last name. What happens is iChat shows me just your iChat handle, which could be, Killer DJ 1234, but that doesn't tell me who you are. So, Glenn Jackson, if you have questions about external drives, I can sum that up for you. You need a FireWire drive. It needs to be 7,200 revolutions per minute or faster with 9 millisecond seek time or less. Do not buy a USB drive. A USB drive will not work with Pro Tools. Now, is that going to change with version 11? I have no idea. I don't actually own version 11. Yeah, you don't always want to get in that. Glenn had a really good question. Glenn said, if we don't have one, will our computer hard drive be okay? For the purpose of this one class, it's probably not a bad. It probably won't damage your hard drive in any way. But if you're going to be professional about if you're really going to go out in the industry, yeah, you're going to work off of a FireWire drive. The reason why is because right now what's happening is the operating system is being run basically off of memory and off your drive. Um, there is a small portion of your hard drive that's towards the center of the hard drive that your operating system is running on. Plus, Pro Tools is now trying to run on that same hard drive. So that hard drive is actually being taxed because it's doing two tasks at once. It can do it, but it's just, it's going to tax the drive. The drive eventually will wear out quicker. It's the same principle as driving 80 miles an hour on a set of tires as opposed to 55 miles an hour. You're going to go through your tires faster. That's pretty much the idea. So you need to buy a FireWire drive. Do not buy a USB drive. USB drive is fine for backup purposes, but you're not going to record to a USB drive. It's just not fast enough. The throughput on a USB drive is not fast enough. So 7,200 revolutions or faster, not the common 5,200 that comes in your laptop. 7,200 revolutions per minute or faster, 9 millisecond seek time or under, and it's got to be FireWire. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for coming and hanging out tonight. In the event you guys have any further questions, don't hesitate to hit me up via iChat or email, or give me a ring also. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back next week. Take care.